Hey, what's going on? It is episode 76 of the Chasing Points podcast. Branden and Sam here, and we are your weekly honest dive into the world of sports. So great to be with you this, Wednesday morning. We're recording this Tuesday night, but Hayes, what's up, man?
You sound so cordial when you give this intro. Like you just sound like
Just trying.
very polite. People don't be fooled. Sam is truly an asshole. But it's just
Wow.
I'm lying, everybody. He's actually really nice guy. I just had to take a shot at him for no reason. So
We
welcome
should
to
get
the
this.
podcast.
We should get this sponsored. The first minute, the first insult, Brandon's first insult of the night,
Have an over
sponsored
under.
by
Have an over under of what at
yeah,
what time I'm gonna insult Sam first. Yeah, we should
the
do that.
MGM or something. Just
Yep.
come and sponsor our shit. Yeah.
Let's get it going. Let's get it going.
No, that's great, man. Good to see you, as always.
Yes, likewise.
Got a
Likewise.
lot to talk about. Busy week 10 in the NFL. Catch up on some baseball news, some basketball news, and certainly our picks and what else happens, between now and by the time we're done, we will certainly cover it. But as I mentioned, a busy week in the NFL, some crazy games to highlight, and we'll just jump right into it with our week 10 winners and losers. As always, Branden, you have the first pick.
Vikings, and I have to be completely open and honest. I thought the Bills won. I literally left to go see Black Panther. Actually, no, I left to go pick up my dog so I can come back to go see Black Panther 2
How was
in
it? I
time.
didn't see it yet. No
It's
spoilers,
eight
obviously.
out of 10. I'll just leave it
Okay,
right there. 8 out of 10.
nice.
If you know the comics, then you'll understand where there's a lot of Easter eggs in there. But
Yeah,
I will say this: just rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman. They paid respect to him so eloquently.
that's great.
But back to
Goat.
the Vikings. I saw when they got stopped at the goal line, when they tried to do a QB rush, and the Bills stopped them, and I was just like, well, the game is over from here. The Bills won this one. They're back in it. Literally left. Not until not until 11 o'clock that night did I find. Actually, no, I didn't even find out 11 o'clock that night. Not until the next morning when I turned on ESPN did I find out that the Bills lost and the Vikings won.
Really?
I
Okay.
did not know, period. I can be open and honest about that.
Hey,
The
man,
fact that the Vikings, hey, I'm being truthful,
that's
but
what
the
we do.
Vikings in general, the fact that they were able to beat the Bills is validating what they are and what they can be. The only team that they lost to is now the one has a loss themselves, is the Eagles. So head to head, they are the both at the top, but technically the Eagles would be the head right now because they won that head to head. But Kurt Thuggins is out here balling,
Ooh,
throwing dimes. He doesn't even throwing dimes. He's literally just throwing the ball to Justin Jefferson, and Justin
literally.
Jefferson has literally saved Kirk Cousins for weeks now. And that catch he had literally, first off, Stephon Diggs had a catch earlier in the game, and everybody thought that that was the catch of the year. And then Justin Jefferson goes up and gets it
He's like,
absolutely
hold my
nuts.
beer.
Yeah. So shout out to the Vikings on that one. The Vikings are my first winner of this week.
Yeah, I had the Vikings too originally as a winner, and I picked someone else, but yeah, great catch. I was telling Branden right before the pod started that I've watched this catch like 24 times. I still don't understand how he caught it. A phenomenal just ability. And like those memes back a couple years ago with Patrick Mahomes, it was like F it, Tyreek Hill's out there somewhere. That to see Kirk Cousins now, that like F it, like Jefferson's out there somewhere. It's like a lot of fun to see those. And shockingly, I had the Vikings. I'm all in on this Vikings team. As long as Kirk Cousins not playing in prime time, and I know I bashed them before the season started and just kind of called them average. They are playing totally different under Kevin O'Connell.
You're
Uh,
right. If Kirk Cousins is playing prime time, but Kirk Cousins is no longer there. It's Kurt Thuggins, and he's a
oh,
different
right.
being. It doesn't matter where he is. That was the biggest stage that he's been on thus far in his career, and he did
Yeah,
not let
it
them
was a
down.
big
So
game, man. Big
yeah,
game, and I'd be a little concerned if I'm the Bills if I'm a Bills fan, just from the sense of like they've been in so many games. I'll try to find the stat, but you know, I heard some ridiculous stat in the last couple of years that if they're up over 7 points, they have a great record, and if they're within a score, they're like 2-9 or something like that. I'll have to pull it up, but like
Well,
just
I'll say
crazy.
this. Well, as great as Josh Allen is, I think
Yeah,
we keep forgetting the fact that Josh Allen, since he's come into the NFL, has thrown some interesting passes that have been picked off. And
yeah.
he actually leads in the last, I think last 3 games. He leads the league. He's top on interceptions. He's got 6 right now in
Oh,
the last
really?
3 games. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, he's an elite quarterback, but he's not doing elite things. Another team that is seemingly doing elite things with a not elite quarterback is Sam's next pick. Sam, you want to introduce who the
Yeah,
next pick
man.
is?
A wild Monday night game last night. Sorry, Hayes, but
Yeah, it's okay.
those Washington Commanders, you know, you could make a lot of this game, and we could spend all podcast talking about some of these ref decisions. Well, all I will say is there needs to be more refs on the ground. New York's need to be able to buzz in and just be like, "Yo, stop the play." It's like stop the next play.
The ref was right in front
That's
of
what I mean.
it.
So
We don't
like,
need more refs. He was right there
well,
looking at it.
we need someone in New York buzzing in immediately and
Yes.
saying, "Do
Yes.
not have the next play happen." Like the NFL is a zillion-dollar industry, and they still have part-time refs. These guys are like accountants and lawyers during the week. Like we can't, like we saw this with the ref strike. You know what was it, like 10 years ago, 8 years ago? Like we can't continue to have this. Like we need full-time refs. If you need more of them, you put more of them on the field. If you need to be able to buzz in, stop play, no matter what time of the play clock is, do it. But yeah, so that's another conversation for another day. Maybe it's okay that you'd like to go undefeated. You like to win as many games as you could, Hayes, but you got like the monkeys off your back in a way. You can concentrate on just on playing good football and fixing what's broken. So I don't necessarily look at it as the Eagles fell apart. Um, but
Wow,
the
I don't know
Washington
about
played a
that.
yeah, and the Washington played they played a
Definitely a
game,
really
good
good
game.
game. Yeah.
Yeah, Heineke, got them to where they need to be. It wasn't a great statistical game, but 3 out of the last 4 games that he started since Wentz went down, that the Commanders have won. So
I mean, he's good when he's under center for
yeah,
them most of the time. I mean, he
yeah,
does. He does. I mean, the fact that he does make bad decisions. What quarterback doesn't? I literally just talked about Josh Allen. The last 3 games, he's leads
yeah.
all quarterbacks, and he's an elite quarterback with 6 interceptions. So when Heineke is under center, the Washington Commanders are better. And you guys went out and got Carson Wentz and spent all that
And
money or do
and we
whatever
said
that. And
right, we
what are you
said this
doing?
in March and April. Like, why is even Carson Wentz on this team? Like, they gave Heineke some money. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he had a good playoff performance against the Bucks, even though they didn't win. Like, he was gritty enough. Like, he did a good job. And whatever. But yeah, my Commanders are my pick there. Big win in Philly last night. Big win.
Yeah, they're 5-5 now. Yes, I could sit here and go up and down, but I about what happened in that game. The Eagles did something that they haven't done all year. They made mistakes, and the Commanders capitalized on them. They Eagles weren't turning the ball over. They had 3 turnovers, and that was the most they've had throughout the whole season. And they had 3 in a game. So the Eagles shot themselves in the foot on several occasions. And yes, obviously there's the refereeing and officiating. It has been glaringly obvious that it's been terrible throughout this year. But I'm still a fan of you don't leave the game in the refs' hands, and they did, and plain and simple. But to your
Yeah.
point earlier, I don't think I don't think this hurts them. They're still 2-1 in the NFC East, the division wise. They're still 8-1 overall, and they still have what people would deem as a favorable record or schedule ahead of them, but it's really not a favorable schedule, especially because it's getting colder. Teams are kind of finding themselves and getting healthier, and teams have now got more tape on them, so it's not going to be easy, but we'll see how that goes. You mentioned a team earlier. The Chiefs are my pick. They have it's crazy that we're talking about Tua and the Dolphins. We're talking about Jalen and the Eagles. We're talking about what's going on with Josh Allen in Buffalo. We're talking about the Jets. We're talking about what's going to go on with Aaron and Tom and so on and so forth. You know who we're really not talking about is the Chiefs. I've watched ESPN. I watched Fox Sports throughout my day while I'm working at home, and literally don't hear them talking about the Chiefs that much. The only time I ever hear them talk about the Chiefs is each week when they climb the power rankings, and they continuously are doing that at this point in time, and they are only getting better. And the fact that everybody, or not everybody, certain people said, let's see how Mahomes is without Tyreek Hill. And some said that he wouldn't be this good. And the fact that he's spreading the ball around, I think makes them way more dangerous. He spread the ball around to most of his wide receivers, and Kelsey only had one touchdown catch and wasn't even a target. Some of the plays, he wasn't even on the field when they threw touchdowns. So that's scary to me that Mahomes has multiple options and is making guys that I guess damn near were almost like utility guys. Like Juju's not a one. He's kind of slot guy, kind of like
playing like a one. I hope he's all right, by the way. He took
a shot.
Man. I hope he's all right.
Yeah. I mean, he's been playing like that, but Sam.
No, I agree with you.
Aaron Rodgers makes a lot of guys look like they're ones, right? And then they go to other places and they're not. And I'm not talking about Devontae Adams because he's definitely a one. But shout out to the Chiefs and Big Red. I'm always a supporter of Andy Reid, so shout out to them for sure.
Yeah, it shows you that Reid and Bieniemy and Patrick Mahomes are continuing to push the envelope and keep teams guessing, and they could easily just be complacent because they have a great passing offense. The running game isn't where it should be, in my opinion, but it looks like Pacheco's getting more run. CH was essentially benched last week. So, we'll see what happens with that. Real quick, though, the difference in EPA per drive this year between the Saints or the Chiefs and the number 2 team, the Dolphins, is the same difference between the number 2 team, the Dolphins, and the number 15 team. They are just continuing to be crazy efficient, just like they were with the big bombs to Tyreek, Mecole Hardman, whatever. Like, they're still a very efficient team. Great to see that for sure. And Kadarius Toney, I'm glad he's healthy because
I'm glad he's on my fantasy.
That dude. Yeah. He looks like that dude for sure. If he's under waiver wire, well, it's probably too late by now.
Yeah, it's definitely way too late.
Pick him up. My next one here, I gotta say, I mean, it's one game. It's against a really bad team in the Vegas Raiders, but props to Jeff Saturday and the Colts, man. He it sounded like Irsay never wanted to see Matt Ryan again. And Matt Ryan started this game because it's the thing, front office might want to tank, but coaches and players do not want to tank. And Jeff Saturday is now both, and or was one and now is the other. So props to them. A big dude. We talked about it last week, like 4 or 5 days to, hey, all of a sudden you are a head coach in the National Football League. I don't care who you are, how good, it could be Brady or Manning. Like, that is a hill to climb in 4 or 5 days to play a professional team. I still don't know what it means long-term for this Colts team or for the rest of the year, but props to Jeff Saturday getting that team to play. They look like they were playing for something. There's some energy in there, and it helps that Jonathan Taylor is looking like his prime self there too. So I got to say, next winner is definitely the Colts.
Jeff Saturday openly said that he doesn't know if he'll be the head coach going forward. He doesn't know what this is going to happen, what's going to come from this, but he knows that he loves football and he knows he loves to talk football. And one thing that have continuously seen since he's been there is he's empowered all people in their positions that they have. He's not coming in and telling them to do this and that. All the coaches that he has in play, he's empowering them to do them because they've been around. And when he got the game ball at the end of the game, which I thought was kind of cringy from Irsay. I mean, I understand why he did it because it was his first one, but Jeff flipped it around real quick because he could have lost that locker room if he just accepted it. Like, thank you guys. Like, I did this. Not saying that he would have ever done that, but he immediately turned it around. He said, no, everybody gets a game ball. And he was like, the best part about this is Victory Mondays, which translates to the guys being off on Mondays. And that's an easy way to win over a locker room, is giving the guys off after a win. But seeing him move up and down the sideline and the energy, dapping up the coaches and seeing how these guys play. And I said, if I said it on here last week on the pod or said it to Sam personally, I said Matt Ryan was going to be the quarterback. There was no doubt in my mind that Matt Ryan was going to be the quarterback and go out there. And Jonathan Taylor looked like Jonathan Taylor of old. So I don't know. Maybe Frank lost the locker room. I don't know what has transpired. It very possibly could be.
I know Matt Ryan was hurt, but maybe the idea of just like, all right, Ellinger is in now, and it's kind of like, wait, this dude can't play, and maybe that did lose the locker room. I don't know whose decision that was, but we'll give him his flowers this week. It's still, I mean,
he's my boys.
He's got to play your Eagles. Yeah, I mean they're home, but he's got to play your Eagles next week.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. We both like Jeff Saturday, both as a player and on TV and everything. It was certainly going after the decision more than the dude. But
who we also like, Sam? We like Justin Fields, and that's my next pick.
Yeah, man.
Justin Fields has absolutely been balling out of his mind. If I remember correctly, Sam, last week we mentioned of him breaking the QB record of rushing, which was held by Mike Vick. And he continues to absolutely ball. Matt Nagy, I hope you're at home watching this and seeing how stupid you look for not utilizing him. And I'm hoping this season proves to these coaches, because these coaches have to realize, because they've been stuck in their ways for so many years, that it's my system, right? And you're going to conform to it. And this is why so many quarterbacks don't make it in this league. And because you don't try to conform and put things in the playbook for them or play around them and see what they like. That's your number one quarterback. You would think, if I have LeBron James on my team, yes, I know, different sport. If I have LeBron James on my team and I'm a head coach and I have a system already in play and LeBron is the best player in the world, and I come in and I say, you know what, this is my system. You're going to stick to it no matter what. This is what you're going to do.
What's the Phil Jackson thing with the triangle in New York?
Right?
Yeah, it's like, what are you doing?
Well, I mean, he did the triangle in New York without having a superstar like Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan or Shaq. So that's a big difference there, because you didn't have that player there. When you have those type of players, you're going to buy in when you have a championship caliber guy, right? Phil is an exception to the rule. But if you have a guy like that, you want to utilize that talent. That talent is going to help you win. And this is what is happening now. They're utilizing Justin Fields' talent. Yes, he's a very accurate passer. He can throw the ball. He can do what he has to do, but he could also scramble. If he can, that offensive line, we've talked about that, Swiss cheese, right? It's same with the Bengals O-line. Terrible, right? But if you move these guys out to the flat and give them the opportunity to throw on the run and give them the opportunity to be a playmaker, this is what's happening. This is what Sirianni's done with Jalen Hurts and Philly down there. McDaniels with Tua. This is right, McDaniels, right?
McDaniel,
yeah, right, McDaniels, right? So you're allowing these guys, these young guys, to be who they are, and that's huge, especially when they're coming into the league and they have so much expectation on them. But I'm just very, very happy that this young man is balling and he's staying quiet and he's quietly creeping into the MVP conversation. Quietly.
That's hard to believe, especially how he and the Bears started the season.
Mm-hmm.
It's still not equating to wins for the Bears.
Of course not.
But I wouldn't be too worried about that. I mean, you got to get, you certainly have a special talent under center. You got to make sure that he is comfortable and evolving and being taken care of. So, hopefully the wins will come. Justin Fields, the first QB in NFL history this past Sunday, 100 yards on the ground, 2 rushing and 2 passing TDs. That's wild. Not even Michael Vick did that. That's great. And kudos to Justin Fields for sure. Another shocker in a way. We started this season. If you looked at the AFC and the NFC East, it was kind of like determined, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Cowboys, the Eagles, they'd be vying for the title in the NFC, and this was the Bills' division to lose. And the AFC, we knew the Dolphins would get better. We hoped that the Jets would get better, and the Patriots always find a way to be in the conversation. Well, if the playoffs started tomorrow, every team in the AFC and the NFC East would be in the playoffs. I think Washington would only be a half a game behind. So that's nothing, but there's 8 teams, both divisions could be in the playoffs if the season ended, and Washington had a half a game more of a win. That's insane, man. So kudos to the AFC and the NFC East, and obviously both of our teams are in those divisions and having a great season. But just two divisions we kind of wrote off, or a lot of people wrote off at the beginning of the year, and special football finally coming back to the East Coast of the United States for sure.
Yeah, no more NFC least. And it's crazy because we talked about it when we had our brothers on here, Harrison and Dame, and we talked about it to a nauseating extent of what the AFC West was going to be, and that has been absolutely nothing. And then shockingly, the NFC East has been absolutely wild with what the Eagles, the Cowboys, what the Giants have all been doing in general, and then flip to the AFC East, seeing what your Jets are doing is shocking a lot. But they started to build the culture there, and with the Dolphins, Tua had a lot of question marks. Everybody was wondering if Tua could do this, and Tyreek kept telling everybody Tua is super accurate. Tua is that guy, and Tua is still out here doing what he's got to do. And with him in and under center, obviously he was out for several games with a concussion, but when under center, this Dolphins offense is scary. And then obviously you have the Bills, who are a Super Bowl contender. The Patriots, they're whatever. And they're a loser to me. But so we'll just transition to losers right now. Sam, who is your? It's unfortunate that your loser is this, because I love this place and I want to go back there. But who's your first loser?
Oh, one of my favorite places in the country to visit, without a doubt, is Las Vegas for a
Likewise.
lot of different reasons. You could
Yep.
go with your boys and have the time of your life. You could go with your significant other and have equal great time. It's a great place. But their
Agreed.
football team is really bad. We kind of talked about this in the off season with the Patriots, where it's like Bill Belichick hasn't had a great track record of drafting lately.
Mm-hmm.
And we've certainly seen it with the Gruden Mayock era in Vegas/Oakland, because there's like no first round picks on this team. But somehow, they made a lot of moves in the offseason, and what was going to be a very tough division. You get Devontae Adams, you shore up, you lock up Renfro, and you lock up some pieces on the defense, and Derek Carr, and this team lost to a team that we just talked about in the Colts, who have a guy with no coaching experience who was hired 5 days before. It's the bottom of the barrel right now. If I'm Bryce Young or CJ Stroud, I'm looking at real estate in Vegas, because one of them's going to Houston and one of them's going to Vegas. This team's really bad. I don't quite get it. I thought they'd be better, but I just gave you a stat off the air. Josh McDaniels has lost 24 of the last 31 games as a head coach in this league, between his time with the Raiders and the Broncos. I know Mark Davis has confidence in you, but I don't know if that's what you want.
He sucks. It's just the truth. He sucks. And it's sad to see such a prominent organization. I love seeing the Raiders play well. That black and that silver, that black hole, the fan base, that grit that team historically has carried, it's non-existent at this point in time. And that's truly, truly sad. I know it's crazy to me, Sam, that last season, with all that went on with Gruden, this team came together and did better than what they're doing right now. And there's no drama. There was none of that type of drama during this season. But yet and still, this is where they're at. You got Derek Carr up there crying at the podium, talking
that
about
was strange, man. That was strange.
yeah. I mean, you never see a quarterback or any really guy just sat out there flat out crying. I mean, obviously, infamously, T.O., that's my quarterback, but you don't really see that happen. And then for him to say, guys are putting stuff in their body, and I was just like, well, you just got a bunch of people tested on your team because the NFL's like, they're putting stuff in their body to go to sleep. I wonder what they're doing. Let's test them. But yeah, no, in all seriousness, it doesn't look good. And to hear that, some teammates aren't really putting the effort that others are doing, like the locker room is lost from the sounds of it already. And that does not bode well for the Raiders. What doesn't bode well for this next team is itself. And it's the Dallas Cowboys.
I left this one for you.
Thank you. Yes, it is. It's both Sam and I's, but
this one's mine.
It's
both of ours.
It's
yeah,
both
you're
of
right.
ours. I know. I can read. So look at this guy over here, man. Trying to. Anyway, I'm about to put Sam. I'm about to put Sam in this group with them while I'm talking about them. Yeah, the Cowboys. What they're doing right now is absolutely wild. The fact that they lost to the Green Bay Packers, after being up 14-0. Kellen Moore, when your team is up, run the ball down the other team's throat.
Especially how Pollard was running.
How he's been running. It's just,
right.
It's how you have this guy. You guys do well. You show when Dak was not there, you rediscovered the run game, and now Dak's back, and we're back to throwing the ball again. Run the damn ball, right? This is what Aaron Rodgers was so pissed off at LaFleur about over there on the sideline, literally saying run the ball, because you can play action off of that, and it allows you to do so much. Kellen Moore is number one in that one. Number two is the defense. Yes, I know they have one player, Jordan Lewis, formerly of the Blue, go Blue for them. Fuck them. Yes, I said that. It's happened. But this defense that is supposed to be this top 5, top 10 defense hasn't really been able to do anything, and they've essentially been exposed. Kind of like my team when it came to the run game. I know why my team's run game is not there, because Jordan Davis is out, but I don't know what the reason is for the Cowboys. They cannot stop the run. And once the team starts running on them, they can't do anything. And the crazy thing is, if you realize, Sam, I don't know if you've realized, I haven't heard much about Micah Parsons. At the beginning of the season, I heard him being a potential the defensive player of the year and so on and so forth. I haven't heard about him wrecking a game in a while. I haven't heard about Diggs in a while. And that's crazy because of what they did last year and what they showed the league that they can do. And it's super, super surprising there. And then everybody, including some major analysts on major networks, thought when Dak returned that this was going to be, the Cowboys were going to take off from there. And that has not been the case. And the real question here is, when is Dak going to step up when it comes to these superstar quarterbacks that he's considered to be in the top 10 and going against these other elite guys? Is Dak ever going to take that step? My answer is I don't know. I really genuinely don't know. I like Dakota as a person. I just don't know if he's that guy. He hasn't really proven that yet. And talking to Cowboy fans that I know very well, and they don't even believe in him. I know Cowboys fans that disown the Cowboys this year. So I don't know what they have to do over there, and they think just going and getting OBJ is going to be the solution, but we don't know what OBJ is. This is the second ACL on the same exact knee. We don't know who OBJ is at this time. So, yeah, Cowboys are Sam and I's losers here.
Yeah, that game, they were coasting in that game. I actually went to put my daughter to sleep and put her down. It was 7:30, whatever it was. And I went in the my bedroom and I texted one of my really good friends, Corey, who's a huge Cowboys fan. And I had he's getting married soon. I had a question. Um, and he was basically like expecting me to just go in on him. I had no idea. Just like you didn't know the Bills lost that game, I
Mhm.
didn't know the Cowboys lost that game. I didn't see it in real time. I had to go back and watch it later. He thought I was just texting him to salt the wounds, but yeah, just you can't lose a game that way. Um, and I still think the Cowboys are a really good team. Certainly a better team than the Packers, but to your points, they didn't play like it on Sunday. My next loser is we both have the same loser, so we can go in here. It's the Denver Broncos. They lost to the Titans on Sunday. I think it was 17-10. But I saw this stat, and this is what's making them a loser. Uh, they would be 8-1 this season if their offense scored just 18 points per game. Which, when you have Russell Wilson, and I know Javonte Williams, who's a great young running back, got hurt, but you have, a decent line, and you have two stud wideouts like that. Greg Dulcich, I believe, and is going to be a good tight end in this league, and you even have KJ Hamler as a slot third.
From?
Yeah, PSU, Penn State.
Thank you.
I know. But you have Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy. And again, Russell Wilson. You'd figure that you'd be able to score 18 points a game, but they'd be 8-1. I don't know what the record is now, but it's not good enough. Nathaniel Hackett doesn't look like um, I don't know. Maybe the Broncos should just call up like John Elway or John Lynch or Terrell Davis, just like Jeff Saturday and coach his team. But I saw that stat and I'm like, wow. Who would have thought at the beginning of the season we were talking about this division being as poor as it has been. So that's my
Yeah.
loser.
Broncos country got 4 flats, so they ain't riding. And they ain't gonna have any wheels this whole year. I don't care how many times they go to the mechanic, they just gonna be riding on flats every time they go out. They suck. And I don't want to say they suck. I really want to say the offense sucks. And when I really mean the offense, I really mean Russell Wilson sucks. And that's where I'm really going at from this point. At this point, I'm kind of, yes, I obviously know that he won a Super Bowl and could have had multiple, but kind of almost at this point, I just kind of feel that he should have just stayed in baseball. Like his corny, cheesy self would have been perfect for baseball. And funny thing is, I sent to Sam who he was drafted before in the MLB.
A lot of baseball players or a lot of football players end up getting drafted in Major League Baseball. It's weird. It happens a lot.
Listen, if you don't know that, then you need to stop listening to this podcast right now. Sam, you should have never had to explain that. You don't know that. Get off this goddamn podcast. Then research and come back. I'm gonna be mean about that when you should know that. Anyway, Jacob deGrom, Jock Peterson, Chris Bryant, and Aaron Judge. Let that sink in.
This is when Bryant and Judge were out of high school. They obviously went to college, and were higher draft picks later. But yeah,
wild, just wild to me. But
I don't know, man. You can't tell a guy. You can't say that Russ would be better off playing baseball when he's got like 250 million in the bank. He's married to a pop star and he's got a Super Bowl ring. I can't sit here and tell you he'd be a better baseball player than a football player. He's probably going to Canton as much as we think that's on the fringe.
He's definitely going to Canton. It's just I don't know who this guy is. I mean, I still believe that he has, fuel in his tank, but
sure.
This is also the first year with a first-year coach. I would have thought by now they would have gotten it together, but it doesn't seem to be the case. So I have a funny feeling they'll figure it out like the last 4 games of the year when it doesn't mean anything, and then be able to carry it into next year. But
play spoiler.
Yeah, The Broncos are just it's really just that connection right now because the defense has been doing its thing. Just the fact that they lost Chubb is wild though.
I still don't get why they traded him, man. If you're in a win now mode, you traded picks for Russell Wilson, and you trade the talent like Bradley Chubb. That's crazy.
It's probably because of that contract that you just talked about. The Rams. Speaking of contracts and picks, maybe they should have kept some of those picks. Maybe they should have restructured some things. Maybe they should have thrown a bunch of money at Von Miller and kept him there, the opposites of Aaron Donald, so he can still, be disruptive. Maybe they should have done a lot. Because what they put out there on this field this year, I think they were my loser last week too. One of my losers last week as well. And they're going to probably be one of my losers every week until they actually do something, because they look horrendous, and it's really, really sad, and it's truly a Super Bowl hangover for them, and I don't think they came in prepared, and I really genuinely wouldn't be surprised if Aaron Donald hangs it up after this year, and if they do that, they're in a world of trouble on that defense. And now Cooper Kupp is on IR. With a little nasty injury that he had yesterday, or when you
high ankle sprain, out for at least 4 weeks.
So I mean, hoping he recoups soon. But the Rams are. It's crazy that whole Shanahan tree right now outside of the Niners, because it actually has a Shanahan, is looking terrible. LaFleur, McVay. Their teams are not looking great at all. So I don't know. These guys are supposed to be the geniuses and all this stuff. They don't look.
I mean, to McVay's credit and LaFleur. I mean, LaFleur went like 13-3 the last X amount of seasons.
Yeah.
McVay, this is the first year he's had a losing record. He won a Super Bowl.
I mean, yes.
Mike McDaniel's making it work in Miami.
I mean, I'm a prisoner of the moment.
That's fair.
It's a podcast. Because it's a podcast, so I obviously know what they've done. Yeah, obviously know what they've done.
YouTube soon, though, right?
Maybe, hopefully, without you. But this is what they are right now, and this year it's pretty terrible, and I don't know where to go from there.
I'm gonna start a new podcast. It's gonna be like Chasing Hayes.
I'm quick with this. You just got to be careful. If you say certain things, you better come with the heat, Sam.
You want to co-host?
I'm ready.
Just drop me a line. DM me on Instagram. All right, Rams, we get it. Real quick, do you care? NFL segment, because we didn't do you care last week. We didn't have do you care scheduled this week, but we have to do it. Real quick answers, Hayes. I'm not even going to answer. These are rapid fire do you care. Ready? I have a bunch lined up.
Okay.
Justin Fields is the best quarterback from last year's draft class.
Yes.
Justin Jefferson had the catch of the year against Buffalo on Sunday. Weird.
Yes.
I guess we talked about that. Tony Pollard should be the Dallas running back over Ezekiel Elliott.
Absolutely, yes.
Patty Mahomes should be the 2022 MVP.
No, not yet.
Who you got, Jalen?
I don't know yet. It's too close.
That's fair. That's fair. Minnesota should be considered. You're going to hate this. Minnesota should be the team to beat in the NFC.
No, not yet.
Seattle needs to lock up Geno to a long-term extension now.
I don't know about long-term. I'd say maybe
extension.
Extend them for at least 2.
Speaking of which, Danny Dimes is New York's QB of the future.
I don't know about that either. I don't know. He's done great this year, but I don't know. I'd say maybe sign him into one more year. Continue.
Okay. Turns out there's nothing to worry about in Tampa Bay.
There's still something to worry about there.
Nice win. And Germany was cool, man. The fans were in it. It was a cool vibe. My brother-in-law has been to that stadium to see soccer matches. Is that
there. A Bundesliga? Is that a Bundesliga?
I don't know. I'm not gonna act like I know where it was, but he said it's crazy there. Josh McDaniels should be the next coach on the hot seat. Last one.
Absolutely. I hope he doesn't get another head coaching job after that either.
That was Rapid Fire. Do you care? A new segment that I just created on the fly. Sweet. Hey, let's go into our week 11 picks.
Let's go.
You ready for that? All right.
Damn.
Thursday night football coming up soon on Amazon Prime. Tennessee at Green Bay. Obviously, Green Bay being home, their favorite to win too. I have Green Bay. You have the Titans. Discuss.
Titans catching fire as they normally do in the latter half of the season. I'm going with the Titans.
That's fair. Ryan Tannehill should be back. As he's ready to go, and Derrick Henry and whatnot. And losing Rashawn Gary, it's going to be big for Green Bay, but Green Bay looked good, and coming from behind. Maybe Rodgers has some faith in Christian Watson now, and Aaron Jones is still a monster. Chicago. So I got Green Bay. Chicago at Atlanta.
We both have the Bears.
Yeah, we both have the Bears there. I stopped because I originally had Atlanta being home, they're favored, but I feel like Fields is going to finally win one the way he's been playing.
I just hope that the Falcons just really look across the field and be like, damn, we could have had that guy. That's all I care about.
That's a great point. They drafted Kyle Pitts instead, 4th overall. Cleveland Browns at Buffalo. A couple more weeks before Deshaun Watson's back, but not this week. We both have Buffalo. We both have Baltimore, who's home hosting Carolina. And I have the Giants. They're home to play the Lions. You have the Lions. Discuss.
I think it's going to be a close game. And I definitely can see the Giants winning this game. I'm not going to lie about that. But I think the Lions are really starting to figure it out. And I know they beat the Bears, but the Lions stay in games all the way to the end. And they just need some things to fall their way. And this is the latter half of the season where teams kind of start to overlook other teams as they look at the bigger picture. And I think this is a trap game for the Giants. That's the only reason.
That's fair. Me, I've loved this Lions team and been rooting for them. I just have a feeling at home the Giants are going to pull away. I have PTSD whenever the Jets play the Patriots. I didn't pick the Patriots. I picked the Patriots last time, and they won. And you believed in my Jets. You gave me a lot of crap for not believing in my football team. When we last saw this team, we were there at MetLife, and they had a great win. I'm going with the Jets. You're going with the Jets. We both have the Commanders. They're favored, even though they're going to be in Houston, playing the Texans there.
I think that's going to be a close game. That's going to be a really close game. Because the Texans play really, really hard. It's going to be a close game.
Yeah, they played when we saw them too. They played pretty well last. Oh no, they played I was thinking of the Thursday night game. They played well against the Giants, right?
They did at first, and then the Giants pulled away. Yeah.
Rams at Saints. We both have the Rams here. I've been picking the Rams for weeks. Hopefully they'll finally win one.
I'm just gonna let everybody know I will officially, throughout the rest of this podcast and the rest of the season, I will be picking anybody that goes against the Saints because I just want that pick to go higher. So let's go. Any other team going against the Saints? Yeah,
that's fair. Right now, it's the Eagles have the 4th pick overall as of right now. And speaking of your Eagles, they go to Indy. We just talked about it. We both have the Eagles there. Vegas heads to Denver. Denver's favored there. I have the Broncos. You have the Raiders. I don't know. This team's just these teams are both really bad. I'm going with the home team with this one.
As I said before, Broncos have 4 flats and they ain't going nowhere. And I think just after Derek Carr crying on TV, I think they're going to come out with some different type of energy. Normally stuff like that, it happens. These guys don't come out flat the following week. So that's the only thing I'm banking on here.
Hey, good point, man. Cincinnati heads to Pittsburgh. Always tough in the AFC North when these two teams play. We both have the Bengals, though. And Dallas is favored heading into Minnesota, which is we both have the Vikings of that one.
Dallas is favored.
Dallas is favored.
Yeah, Dallas is about to have they're about to have a 2-game losing streak. Are you kidding me? They're favored. They're favored against the 8-1. So it's crazy. Cowboys are favored against 2 8-1 teams right now. They're favored against the Vikings and they're favored against the Eagles when they play them. It's like, who is doing this? Because they're clearly not watching Dallas. They have a chance to win. Of course they do. You have a chance to win every single week, but they're not beating the Vikings. It's just not going to happen. It's not. Dalvin Cook is going to have, if you have him on your fantasy team, make sure you have him in this week. Make sure you have him in this
Well,
week.
yeah, I mean, you start your studs every week.
Mhm.
I'm looking up the line here. Sunday Night Football, Chiefs at LA Chargers, division game. We both have the Chiefs there. And Monday Night Football, 49ers at Arizona. Our buddy Jeremiah told me that Warzone 2 comes out this week.
Today.
So Kyler's gonna, even though he has an extra day, it might not go too well for him. So I have the Niners. You have the Niners. That's it. There you go. I'm looking up the line to the Dallas Minnesota game, but now another great, well-received segment where our fans like to give Hayes a lot of crap. It's Brandon's top 10 power rankings through week 10. Hayes, take it away.
So at 10, I have the Cowboys that I mentioned that were going against the Vikings, and after they lose this week, they will be out of the top 10. But the Cowboys currently constructed, they have the capability of winning most of their up and coming games. It's just what type of product that they put out there. And I truly, truly believe, all jokes aside, Mike McCarthy has to go. And I think once they do that, I think you're going to see and then also if they get the right coach in there, I think McCarthy and Kellen Moore have to go. And after that point in time, I think you will see a different Cowboys team if you get the right people in place because they have some great talent on that team. Number 9, the Niners. Getting Christian McCaffrey was a big turnaround, but that defense, as we know, is stout. They have one of the best left tackles in the league, if not the best left tackle in the league. You have Jimmy G doing what he has to do. I mean, they're winning games with Jimmy G not even throwing touchdowns. So that says enough with that.
That's a wild stat, by the way.
It really, really is.
Yeah.
The Niners this is what they do. Between the Niners and the Titans, the second half of the season is where they come alive, and this is their time. Speaking of the Titans, they're at 8. Titans are this is their time as well. As I just mentioned, this is Rabel's got them going. You also have Derrick Henry. It's getting colder. People already don't like tackling Derrick Henry. Just imagine trying to tackle him in the cold.
This is where he comes alive too,
man. Yeah, because people don't want to tackle him in the cold. It's like you running into a parked car and trying to tackle it, Sam. It's not going to go. Instead, he's just actually moving. Another person that moves a lot runs this team, and they had a bye week this past week, but the Ravens are at 7. Lamar has been shutting people up with, again, injuries affecting the team. I just really hope that this week, since the bye has happened, we get to see D-Jack with him, because you're going to have a guy that can take the roof off of offense as long as his hamstrings stay healthy. And Lamar can throw the ball down there, but if you have to account for that, that leaves so much behind Deshaun to do from there. So I'm really curious to see how that happens. At number 6, another guy that runs his life off, runs Legatron over here, is Saquon Barkley in these Giants. And Danny Ducks, if he keeps playing the way that he's playing, I'm going to have to take that nickname away, and I don't want to. But the way that the Giants have been playing, Dable has absolutely turned this team around.
Absolutely.
The morale of this team is completely different, and I know nobody really thought that they were going to be here. They're definitely one of the surprises, as Sam mentioned earlier with his one of his winners. But they're doing well. Another New York team that we have here, the Bills. The Bills, they are steadily declining. The only reason that they're still high up for me at this point is the competition that they've played. They played some really, really good teams already this year, and I think that's just going to only make them more battle tested when it comes to the playoffs. Like, they've gotten through these guys, they've had this adversity. The only thing that's still kind of scaring me right now is Josh Allen's elbow. And that's absolutely scary. If he was a baseball player, he would have had Tommy John already, and that would have been the end of his season. Number 4, my father's Dolphins, who are the 72 is probably rejoicing right now and had their cigars and the
And this
ceremony
champagne, yeah.
and put their voodoo dolls away, apparently, that they have. But I know they have time now to just focus on their actual team here. That's 7-3. As I mentioned before, with Tua, they are balling. They have the track team out there with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Is pretty much just straight go route and just put your hand up. And the crazy thing is they're winning. And Tyreek, this was his first touchdown in like a couple weeks, if I remember correctly, but still getting a crazy amount of yards. And you have to account for that. Number 3, the Vikings. And this top 3 is, and this is my top 3. But I honestly, if somebody were to change these top 3, I really wouldn't find or have a problem with it, because these 3 teams are currently, in my opinion, the best 3 teams in the NFL. The Vikings at number 3. We just saw what they did against the Bills. Looked like they were down and out, but they're doing what you're supposed to do. Get the ball to your best player, and that is what is happening. He's balling out, which I'm going to talk about with one of the teams coming up in a second. But number 2, the Chiefs. The only reason I have the Chiefs here at 2 is just because of their record, but the competition that they played, and then they also did have a loss against the Colts, which was why they, and the team that's number 1 is interchangeable, which probably by now you really know who it is the Eagles. But the Chiefs easily could be number 1 for me. And I went back and forth about this one. Literally had them at 1, had the Eagles at 2, but the Eagles are still 8-1, and they still are the cream of the crop when it comes to the NFC East and the NFC in general, in my opinion. The Eagles beat the Vikings, who are 8-1. That's their only loss the Vikings have. Yes, they just fumbled the bag here against the Commanders, and that is a division rival, but I think this is going to only make them better. And for what these top 3 teams can do, I mean, geez, it's that top 4 could literally be the conference championships, and
Yep.
I wouldn't be upset with that being the conference championships, because I think that would be a very, very explosive game. And seeing the Eagles against the Vikings again, and seeing what the Eagles did to Justin Jefferson the first time around, it'd be interesting to see what happens the second time around, because it normally changes when teams see each other in the playoffs. So that was my top 10.
Yeah, quick stats that I didn't get in earlier, but speaking of your dad's Dolphins, Tua, his last 3 games, 3 touchdowns, no picks in each game, 77% completion percentage for 969 yards. And a lot of that's attributed to those wideouts that you mentioned, but still, he is playing like Alabama Tua, like, a lot of us knew he was capable of. And Patty Mahomes, man, on Sunday, 331, 4 TDs. That's his 3rd game this season with 4 touchdowns. Leads the NFL. Wow. But that's your power rankings. Let us know what you think. Join the conversation at Chasing Points Podcast on Instagram. Beat Hayes up over the Dolphins or the Cowboys being 10th.
I'm ready for it. Whatever. Send it my way.
When we were switching gears off the NFL to the NBA real quick, when we last kind of talked about the Nets, at least from their coaching standpoint, and Steve Nash being let go / resigning, whatever happened there, I don't, finger pointing, but we thought, what's his name? Ime Udoka would be the next head coach from the Celtics, who's suspended currently, be the next head coach for the Nets. And we kind of glossed over the interim head coach, who's now the head coach of the Nets. The Joe Tsai, the owner of the Nets, removed that title recently. Jacques Vaughn, the new Nets head coach. What do you think of the hire? And would you rather have Ime? What are your thoughts on situation? We have to ask our resident Nets fan.
I don't think we overlooked it. I don't think anybody thought that he was going to be, that they were going to put the head coach tag on him. But I absolutely get why they did it, because they need some type of stability, right? Just because they made him the head coach and extended him does not mean that he'll be the head coach next year. All right. So that's just, he's going to be the head coach for this year and potentially going into next year. But during this offseason, they can absolutely still go get Ime Udoka. And I genuinely would have done whatever I could to get him. I think the two reasons why they didn't do it is because of all that has transpired in Boston with him and all that is attached to that, even though he has a lot of ties to the Nets. But I think also number two, with everything that's going on with Kyrie, I think having these double negatives going on at the same time would have been something that essentially would have been an even more toxic environment with media basically shoving their microphones in their face every second. There would really be no time to really gel and a bunch of questions. Like it would have to be absolutely irritating if you're a teammate or another coach asking or answering questions about two individuals after every game or before every game. So I think Ime is still on their mind. I would not be surprised if they sign him unless, you know, somebody else comes in and picks him up. But I get why Jacque Vaughn is there. I mean, since he's been the head coach, they've played more defense. They look like a basketball team. They're moving the ball around. Yeah, they just got beat by the Lakers, but prior to that, I think they ran off like 3 wins, 3 out of 4. So they have started to solidify who they are. And now they've gotten shooters back. Seth Curry's had a couple 20-point games. You got Joe Harris out there. You got shooters around KD doing what it has to do. I'm just really curious to see when Kyrie's going to come back, because he should be back already, especially after Adam Silver sat down and had a conversation and said Kyrie's not anti-Semitic, which Kyrie was saying from the beginning. But I'm intrigued to see how this all transpires, to be honest. But I would have went for Ime Udoka.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist kind of guy, but I'd have to imagine that you know, someone said to Joe Tsai, like, maybe cool it on the Ime stuff, even though it's, you know, he was suspended. It's weird because he's suspended by the Celtics, but not the league. So maybe, you know, that's an interesting situation. But reports like that, and when they're coming from Woj and Shams, they don't come out of thin air and they don't go away
Not at
easily.
all.
So you know, something to certainly watch. Not much else in the NBA we want to talk about right now, but we'll move over to MLB really quick. We both exhaled before the podcast started because we got news that the Yankees have re-signed their first baseman, Anthony Rizzo, to a 2-year deal for $34 million, third-year option for $17 million. When I saw reports last night that the Astros were making Rizzo like their top priority, I was really upset. I'm glad Rizzo's back. Yes, I pounded the table for Freddie Freeman last offseason, but it's easy to say hindsight, but I loved Rizzo and was with the Cubs, and he's definitely made a difference on this team. And he's just seems like a good dude, and I'm glad he's going to be in pinstripes for the next couple of years.
And I think this is a move to bring back Judge, because how close they are. This is an absolute move to bring back Judge. But hey, we have your guys still here. You know, we know your friendship, and I honestly think if he would have went to the Astros, I think that could have been a factor for Judge to leave, to be honest. And I think people undervalue friendships in this and what they have there. If they can make it happen, like, you're not keeping my guy, you're not putting my guy there, like, you're not going to put these pieces around me that I want, like, I'm gone. Now, obviously there's technically no validity to that, but that's just my thought. But happy Rizzo is back. I know, seeing the articles that Sam and I share with each other of what this infield is going to look like, it's going to get very interesting for LeMahieu, because where does he go? Right? You know, where does he go after that? And I'm sure they'll put him somewhere, especially with his glove. But I want to know where he goes, especially with them bringing back Josh Donaldson, which I absolutely hate. So there's that, Sam. Can they get rid of him?
Get rid of DJ?
Josh Donaldson.
Oh, Josh Donaldson. Sorry, I was reading something. Yeah, I wish, but Cash is already committed. It's weird, man. Cash had an end of the year press conference. He's at the winter meetings, and he has not been re-signed. as the, as the GM, the vice president, whatever he is. That's just wild to me, but it just kind of shows I don't think he's going anywhere. Really quick though, shocking move that the Astros, right after winning a World Series, only offered their GM, who basically they hired when they cleaned house after the cheating scandal. They only gave him a 1-year deal. And a lot of people in the league were like, what the hell? A slap in the face. And he obviously didn't accept it, and he's a free agent. And then they fired the assistant GM. Don't know what was going on there, but
Also, Verlander opted out too.
yeah. Yeah, so it'll be interesting where DeGrom goes, Verlander. There's some big, obviously Aaron Judge will be keeping an eye on that as the offseason gets underway there. Real quick, we're ahead of the manager of the year votes are probably coming out in a little bit as we record this, but last night, Monday night, Julio Rodriguez of the Mariners won Rookie of the Year, the AL, and Michael Harris, the second outfielder for the Braves, NL Rookie of the Year, the Jackie Robinson Rookie of the Year, excuse me. Great seasons by the two of them. Definitely special talents. Julio is a difference maker for sure. So we called those last week. So just happy to say that. And that's it for baseball. But to end the show, something special for you. A special edition of UFC Corner with Branden.
I really
take it away.
I really hate that lead in that you just gave me. I didn't get to see this because I was at a wedding, and I didn't see the results until after the reception was over. But my man Israel Adesanya loses to Alex Pereira, who seems to be his absolute kryptonite. He literally has beat him 3 times now, and that's every time that he's fought him, he's knocked him out. Israel just can't beat this guy. Everybody has that one person that they just can't surpass, and this is Israel's guy. What I've heard, because I haven't seen the fight, is that Israel kind of was winning until the last round, which has kind of been a reflection of all of their fights, and got dropped, TKO. Weili Zhang won. She's back, beat Carla Esparza. But the fight that I heard that lived up to everything that we all thought it was going to be was Dustin Poirier and Michael Chandler, who are 2 absolute brawlers. All I saw, the clips that I saw, was just blood from Michael Chandler's face just dripping down all over Dustin Poirier. But Dustin Poirier is an absolute monster and pulled it out. And that this card is really, really good. So when the replay is ready and I don't have to pay for it on ESPN Plus, I'm 100% going to watch this fight and be able to tell you a little bit more about it when I feel like it. How about that?
That's great, man. Did a great job.
Thanks, Sam.
Great show.
Yeah.
For that. Nice, efficient show for you. Make sure you're following us on Instagram. We'd love the support at Chasing Points Podcast, and give us a nice review on Apple Podcast or wherever you listen to podcasts. For Branden, my name is Sam. Thank you so much for listening. We will be back next. Yeah, that's me. We'll be back next week. Until then, good luck getting your Taylor Swift tickets.
Wow.
Bye.
That's pretty funny because I actually, while we were doing this, Jackpot, the Lotto app, said you have more of a chance of winning the Lotto than to getting Taylor Swift tickets, which is pretty interesting.
That's funny.
I just want to take the time, and I normally joke about this, but I want to take the time and send love to the family of the 3 young men that were killed in the University of Virginia on Sunday. 3 young football players were killed by an ex-teammate that shot at the bus and ended up taking these gentlemen's life. I know there were several people that were injured as well, so I'm sending prayers to them as well. But I'm absolutely over this senseless shit. I've been over it. I don't care if you're white, black, Asian, whatever you identify as. This needs to absolutely stop. And we need to collectively come together and do this, because it ain't been done by our government. So we need to collectively do what we have to do and make sure that we protect our own and that we're taking care of each other and people and need to do something about mental health. We need to do something about all this gun violence because it hasn't stopped. It won't stop until we actually do something. And it's absolutely sickening to me. So I'm sending prayers up to the whole family, to those three kings. May you rest in paradise. I will truly try to go back and watch some clips and see what you guys are like on the field if I can, just to try to get an understanding of what your guys' personality is and see what comes from this. But just hold your loved ones, man. Hold your loved ones.
Well said, man. See you next week.